Hello and welcome to a Royal Reviewer pop-up live chat. Today is the 9th. It's the 9th of October 2020. I don't know why, but I felt like I wanted to say the 8th, but no, it is indeed the 9th of October. Where has this year gone? And in today's pop-up chat, as always, this is a live chat, so I will be trying to answer and read as many viewer comments and questions as I possibly can. But I want to talk about Sophie Wessex having to isolate and also what Prince William has been doing in calling for global action. So without further ado, whilst people are dropping in to the live chat, I will pop on my old man glasses and begin to read a news update about Sophie, the Countess of Wessex. So she is actually self-isolating at the moment after coming into contact with an infected person, obviously COVID-19. So what does that mean? It means that the Countess is staying at home as a precaution following government guidelines. A Buckingham Palace spokesperson said that Sophie was not experiencing any symptoms. So she doesn't have a temperature, loss of taste, persistent cough, all the rest of it. But she has come in contact with someone. The Countess obviously lives with Prince Edward and her children, so presumably they would likely having to be isolated too, I would imagine. The palace spokeswoman continues. Earlier this week, the Countess of Wessex came into contact with someone who was subsequently tested positive for COVID-19. Her Royal Highness is not experiencing any symptoms, but is following all relevant government guidelines and is self-isolating at home. There we go. And as I said, kind of self-isolation, obviously she is self-isolating, but if she has been in contact, obviously with husband Edward and children, I would have imagined that they would have had to isolate too, although there is no mention of Edward or the children within that statement. Also, I would imagine that she would have had a test as well. The rules are obviously in the UK at the moment that if you are contacted via the test and trace, then you have to isolate yourself until you have had a test. So presumably Sophie would have had a test, and then within 48 hours normally you get the test results back, and then depending upon what they are, either you or your family are free to go about your business as you were, or you have to isolate. So that is the situation which Sophie has found herself in at the moment, and it's unclear as to where she has come into contact with a person that tested positive. Was it on a royal engagement? Was it privately as a private person? I really don't know. That statement was kind of very vague and didn't really give away a lot regarding it. But what we do know is that she is respectfully following government guidelines. Marty says, I do pray Her Majesty will isolate until next year. Well, obviously, if you watched my yesterday's video, you will know that the Queen has now moved from Sandringham, where she was staying with Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, for a few weeks. She is now back in Windsor, and she's still got that kind of team of two royal bubbles that kind of interchange. So the Queen is still very much safe, and she is in a bubble, although she's not isolated because she does have those changing bubbles, but they are safe bubbles. So there we go. Lauren, yes, I agree. It is most definitely best to be safe than sorry. Christine, hoping the Countess will be okay. I'm sure she will. Lisa says, I found it scary when I was near someone who wasn't wearing a mask and had tested positive for COVID. It can be very, very scary indeed. People should follow the rules and regulations of wherever they live. MSNB 2012 says, I think William and Catherine should stop attending events as well. Whenever I've seen any of the royals out and about, they have been adhering to government guidelines, either wearing a mask when they've needed to do so, or social distancing where appropriate to do so as well. I mean, in terms of catching something, yes, they are as at risk as what the Countess of Wessex was, and potentially they could come in contact with someone who eventually tests positive for COVID, in which case they would receive the same advice, the same guidance, and they would isolate until they were tested. But equally as well, obviously the royal children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, are back in school or nursery, and they will be coming into contact as well with teachers, even though teachers are socially distancing. In UK schools, the kids and the teachers do not have to wear a mask, so potentially, if ever the Cambridges do catch it, it may not be necessarily from an engagement. It could actually be what I'm calling like through the back door, with the kids kind of intermingling in their school year or school class bubbles, because of course the kids are bringing in their own families, potential germs and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's not as clear cut as if the Cambridges test positive, it's come from an engagement. So yeah, they would just have to be tested, and there we go. Sharona says, what happened to Sophie? She has come into contact via test and trace with somebody who has tested positive for COVID. Sean Harrison, hello, says, even with negative tests, you still have to isolate for 14 days. Why is it with a negative test? I'm not quite sure about if you have a negative test result, because surely you are free. And unless it develops, maybe it's developing time. It could actually be developing time, couldn't it? Lauren says, I would have thought all the household should be self-isolating as long as they've been in contact with, unless Edward has been somewhere else, of course. MSMB 2012 says, because it is an airborne virus, and I wish very much for William and Catherine to remain healthy, as do we all. Right. I am going to move on to the next piece of news. So, obviously, the Duke of Cambridge is doing a lot of work these days with regards to the environment and, of course, the global climate change issues. We have seen the collaboration that he has done with Sir David Attenborough, and now obviously the Duke of Cambridge is heavily involved with the Earthshot Prize. So in a new clip, which you can actually view on the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge Twitter account, which used to be obviously Kensington Royal, you can see a clip. And I'm going to read some of what he said. But basically, he is saying we must protect and restore the Earth, and he's calling people to action. So he is continuing, of course, to dedicate his global platform to highlighting the importance of climate change. And if you watch the clip, you will see that he discusses the importance of preserving the Earth, especially leading into the next decade. So obviously the next 10 years are absolutely crucial. The clip has come from William's upcoming virtual address, which is part of the countdown. It's the first free and virtual TED conference devoted solely to addressing the issues of global warming. He says that the shared goals for our generation are clear. Together, we must protect and restore nature, clean our air, revive our oceans, build a waste-free world, and fix our climate. And we must try to do all of this in a decade, just 10 years. Obviously, he's continuing to urge people to understand that the next 10 years are crucial to restoring the looming effects of climate change. He says if we achieve these goals by 2030, our lives won't be worse and we won't have to sacrifice everything we enjoy. Instead, the way we live will be healthier, cleaner, smarter, and better for all of us. His virtual appearance follows the launch of the ambitious Earthshot Prize. For the initiative, William and a council of high-profile figures are dedicated to Earth preservation. They will annually award, over the next 10 years, $1.2 million prizes to individuals, organisations, scientists, activists and others who are diligently working to find solutions to the planet's most pressing environmental issues. And also, he is set to share the stage with a whole host of star-studded participants, including Pope Francis. Now, can't get much bigger than Pope Francis. Mark Ruffalo, Al Gore, Chris Hemsworth, Jaden Smith, Priyanka Chopra, and Jane Fonda are just some of them. The live stream event will take place on Saturday, October the 10th, so tomorrow, from 11 a.m. and also 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and will be available to view via Ted's YouTube channel, Ted being TED. So yes, you will be able to go and watch that. So do go and do that. So the environmental prize is actually worth basically a full $65 million. And I think it's really, really amazing that he's taking on basically having this baton that he has taken on from his grandfather, the Duke of Edinburgh, and Prince Charles, who he said in the recent documentary that was released and aired on TV, that he saw his grandfather and Prince Charles being ahead of their time, and he also wants to be the same. He wants to leave a legacy for George, Charlotte, and Louis of a world that is fully intact, and obviously repairing the world, repairing the planet, stopping the rot in 10 short years by 2030 is part of the plan. He says that was when they started to talk about what would become his most ambitious project to date. Kensington Palace has said something that would gain the prestige of the Nobel Prize. Prince William didn't want to duplicate the efforts of others, but after researching the landscape, they couldn't find something that met the same criteria, where winners from every sector, be it scientific or a 12-year-old in a classroom in Kenya, could be awarded the same amount. So basically, it is open to everyone. I remember talking about this when it was first mentioned, but after 2 years of intense planning and behind-the-scenes work, Prince William is finally ready to share the details of what he calls the most prestigious global environmental prize in history, and it most certainly will be. So if you have ideas, I mean, you can enter. It doesn't matter who or what you are. The new global prize for the environment will incentivize change and help to repair the planet, which is a critical decade for the Earth. And obviously this has been developed in conjunction with the Royal Foundation. And I can't wait to see and watch and share and comment on this video that will be out tomorrow. Obviously, the Royals have had, all of them have had a big impact on the environment over the years. Not least of all, waging war on, for example, ocean plastic. Furthering the Queen's ambition to have a global canopy and protected rainforests. It's all coming to a head, and over the next 10 years, hopefully, something will be able to be achieved. Right, I'm going to go back up and read a few more comments. Just clarifying about the 14 days to isolate. Sean Harrison says, if you have been in touch with someone who is positive, it takes up to 14 days for symptoms to come out. Only person who has been in contact, not the whole household. And MSNB 2012 says, I'm sure Boris Johnson was doing all he could to stay virus-free as well. You'd be pretty nuts not to do whatever you could to stay virus-free. Lisa says, brilliant idea, Prince William. And Lauren says, I'm sure he was. I think you're talking about Boris, but you just can't stay in forever. Unfortunately, this virus is not going away. Obviously, if you know that you have got underlying medical conditions, then you are probably going to be isolating a lot more than someone who perceives themselves to be fit and healthy, although, that isn't always a guarantee. But you just need to follow the guidance that you are given from your country. Laura says, I am so very happy that the royals are taking the climate change to heart, unlike some of our people here in the US. And MSNB says, thanks for all your hard work to keep us informed. You are more than welcome. And Lauren says, I'm looking forward to watching it. It looks good. I most definitely am looking forward to it as well. Right, where was I in terms of the people? No, that's fine. I think I have covered everything so far with regards to that. I think I have. Yes, I do. Other than to say, I've just loaded up the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's Twitter account, and some of the things they've used a series of emojis that they actually want to kind of highlight as the main aims over the next 10 years, which are to protect and restore nature, clean our air, revive our oceans, build a waste-free world, and fix our climate. I mean, that is a huge ambition. I mean, one of the things I think in terms of clean our air, one of the big movements that we're having, I think, all available all over, is the move and drive to go towards renewable fuels and also electric vehicles and electric transport, hopefully fueled by renewable energy. And I think that's one of the ways that we can kind of do that. And, you know, all of these other things are going to be addressed and tackled over the next 10 years. Hopefully, you know, these people that win the prizes will be able to use that to actually drive their own initiative and their own idea so that it can benefit the world. It really is going to be a big legacy. Lauren says that's true, i.e. you've not left the house since March. Wow. But was just saying that unfortunately the royals will have to carry on working. They won't stay in for the next 2 years. No, I mean, I think the Queen is a different case because of her age. She is in one of those vulnerable groups, so of course she's going to have the bubble going on for a while. And I don't think we'll be seeing in-person engagements from the Queen anytime soon. But it is the intention for her to still travel to Buckingham Palace as and when needed. But mostly she'll be staying at Windsor, taking on as many duties as she can from Windsor, from within the bubble. Video calls, I still don't think we've seen the last of those for the royal family, and in particular the Queen. But as of yet, it's still the intention that she will take part in the Remembrance Sunday service in November. Yes, Joanne, you will be able to see it in the US because you can go to the TED YouTube channel, that's TED YouTube channel, and it will be on there. So it will be available for everyone to watch wherever you are in the world. Right, before I go, because it's evening time here and I want to go and have another cup of tea. So do you have any really pressing royal questions before I go? Do let me know, and of course I shall do my best to answer them. Do we know how the service will work? Well, usually the Remembrance Day service is usually at the cenotaph. It's usually outside. I imagine there will be less people, and I imagine those people that are there will be socially distanced. The Queen, I imagine, if she is there, will be on the balcony, probably only with people that have been within her bubble. She may even literally just be out there by herself. So yeah, and of course any other kind of mass gatherings inside, like church services, as far as I'm aware, they are not going ahead at the moment. But yeah, I think it'll be a case of trying to keep the numbers as low as possible, and then when you have got the amount that you need, making sure they are socially distanced, making sure that they are wearing all the PPE that they need to do. But of course, anything can change, anything can happen in that time. We could be in lockdown. We could have a second lockdown by the time it gets to Remembrance Sunday. So all of this is all completely provisional at the moment. Hello to Laura. I can see Laura Jones down the bottom of the chat just come in and says happy Friday. Yes, the best day of the week, I'm sure. So By the way, if you are enjoying this live chat, please give it a big old thumbs up. Right, so do we have any other questions about anything that has gone on within the royal world recently? I did actually read a tweet. If I go back, I don't know where it's gone. I've probably lost it, but I did read a tweet about people here we go. No, it's gone. No, where is it? No, it's gone. I thought I'd lost it. Anyway, I read a tweet where a British royal journalist was saying that one of the other monarchies has launched like an investigation into the cost of keeping their royal family, and trying to compare the costs of monarchies, and basically saying you can't always compare, for example, a different monarchy from a different country with one from this country, because they are very different. They cover different sorts of work. The amounts of money that is spent is different and on different things. The amount of royals they support is different. So it's not always a really easy comparison to be comparing different monarchies with each other, because it's not always a fair comparison. It's not always like for like. And in fact, I think I've remembered where that tweet was. Yes, I have. Yeah, basically the reporter was saying, interesting story. It's always difficult comparing the costs of different monarchies and making sure you have a like-for-like comparison. The current UK sovereign grant is at 85.9 million, but the real cost is more like 345 million. I mean, the real cost is kind of up for debate, because obviously you have to consider in obviously security and all the rest of it. But apparently the Dutch government has bowed to populist demands and ordered a review of the annual cost of the Dutch monarchy, which is estimated at 45 million euros. And of course, you know, obviously the reporter's saying, can you compare and contrast that with the UK monarchy? And like I said, I don't think it's necessarily a like-for-like comparison. And it seems like, unlike the Dutch government, we have in the UK a really big scrutiny of royal finances. Every single year, the royal finances are published in all their detail, in full detail with different breakdowns. So in the UK, we are quite lucky that we do know pretty much how that sovereign grant is spent. Like I say, it doesn't factor in necessarily all of the protection costs, all of the policing that is involved on royal engagements and that kind of thing. But we do know how the money that's given to fund the monarchy is spent. So everything is accountable here in the UK. Seems probably like maybe that's not the case for the Dutch people, but here in the UK we do pretty much know exactly how that money is spent. Lauren says the picture is cute. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Christine's worrying about another lockdown. Yeah, and Miriam, we do all have to use common sense. Right, so I'm going to go now. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Oh, by the way, I made one, a catch up about Harry and Meghan over on Steps of Sussex, so do go and check that one out. And of course, on Monday, I will be posting my weekly vlog. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload new video, and also buy my merch. I know you want a Royal Reviewer mug. I'm just saying, I know you do. So, link below. So from me in Shropshire, mwah to you all, and goodbye.